So in this lesson, we're going to learn some basics of linking up our Python code to the Minecraft app in the Raspberry Pi. So in the last video, we learned how to bring in the Minecraft application for Raspberry Pi. So we're going to go ahead and start the game. Okay, and you can create a new world, or you can open your existing one that you played in last time. Okay, so here we are inside of randomly generated Minecraft world. I'm going to hit Tab so that I can move my cursor out of Minecraft. And then I'm going to go up here to my Raspberry, to Programming, and I'm going to open up Idle. Okay. So inside of Idle, we've got three dashes here that indicate that's my command prompt, and I can type a programming statement here to see what happens. So let's go ahead and print something to the shell. So I'm going to print hello world. Okay, and when we press enter, then that statement runs and we can see the output hello world. Okay, we can print other things. Like we could print a math problem, 5 plus 5 equals, and there, when I press enter, I see what it equals, and it's 10. Okay, when we have integers, those are positive or negative whole numbers, and we add those together, multiply, we're going to get back an integer. Another data type in Python is called a float. And a float is a decimal number, right? Float short for floating point decimal. So I'm going to take 2.5 minus 1.5, so a float minus a float, and we see we get back 1.0, which is also a float. You notice that it didn't change the data type to an integer, right? Even though 1 is equivalent to 1.0, because a float minus a float is still a float. Okay. In Python, when you have a string, a group of characters that you want to print out like a message, like hello world, you can put that inside of double quotes like we did, or you can put that inside of a single quotation mark. Okay, so we'll see if I can backspace here. Oh, I can't change it because I'm in the shell. That's funny. So that brings us to the limitations of being inside of the shell. I can only execute one line at a time. And notice I can't get back in here and backspace to make any changes to previous lines of code. So I'm going to go up here to File and New File, and we're going to open up a file on the other side. Okay. So we're going to need to give this file a name. So I'm going to save. I'm going to go to my documents, and I'm going to call this one teleport.py. Okay, so I can see the name of my file up here at the top. And now I'm going to just put those same programming statements that I had typed into the shell into this file. So hello world. Okay, then we did some addition, so print 5 plus 5, and then we did some subtraction, 2.5 minus 1.5. Right? Now, in a program, which is a collection of programming statements, I can run all of these statements consecutively, one right after the other, and have its output show up over here in the shell, rather than having to type them one line at a time. The other thing that's nice about a program is that I can save and return to it later anytime I want to make changes or additions to it. And I can modify things, like if I wanted to change these quotation marks to apostrophes, I could do that. And notice that it's still green in here, this string. Hello world is going to be print rather either if it's quotation marks or apostrophes. So to run these three statements, I'm going to go to run, down to run module, and it's going to prompt me to save, which I will, and then I can look over here at the shell for my output, hello world 10 and 1.0. Okay, so this is a program. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and connect my my Python program to Minecraft. So to do that, I'm going to do from MCPI, that's short for Minecraft Pi Edition, .Minecraft. I'm going to import Minecraft with a capital M. Okay, and then this brings in the functions and programs that we need in order to connect to the Minecraft world. Okay, next we need to create an object in Minecraft. So I'm going to call mine world. I could call it Robin's World if I wanted to. You could call it MC for Minecraft, right? If you wanted to. I'm going to call mine world. So I've got world equals, and then Minecraft dot create. Now that create function was imported when we brought in this Minecraft package in the import statement. So we're just going to invoke or call that function. Okay, now let's go ahead and assign some variables. So in Minecraft, if I pull up my Minecraft again, if you look real small here in the center, we've got a position for my character. He's at 0.5, 1.0, and 0.5. Let's say I wanted to move him a little bit. So I'm going to move him over to x equals 5. Okay, that's my east-west direction. Y equals, let's put him up above the ground. So we'll put him at 20 for Y. That's my up-down direction. Then Z is going to be my north-south direction, and we'll move him to -10 in the Z variable. Okay, so now to teleport my player, I'm going to call world. World is the universe that I created here in Minecraft. Okay, then I'm going to get my player with the dot operator. So that says player, world.player. And then I'm going to call the function set tile position. Okay, set tile POS for position. And I'm going to move my player to the arguments go inside of the parentheses, the arguments X, Y, and Z. Okay, so let's go up to run, and we're going to run the module and keep our eyes on the Minecraft in the center here. And there's my new position. Okay, I can see that I'm now at, when I dropped down to the ground, I was at 20 when I started up above the ground, but I fell, and now I'm at 5.5, 0.0, and -9.5. So as I was falling, right, my position changed just a little bit as I fell. Okay, now another way that you can assign variables, rather than doing one on each line, I could assign them all on one line. So I could say variables A, B, and C are going to be equal to or assigned, and now let's use some floats. So let's put our player somewhere really far away. So -25, let's go to 100, so we'll be very high up in the air, up in the clouds. And then we'll make our C go to 110. Okay, so we'll be in a completely different location. Okay, oh, I wanted to make these actually floats, so let's put some decimals on here. So we'll go to 25.5, 100, 0.9, and 110.3. Okay, so now we've got float values. Okay, this time let's do world dot player dot set position. So this is going to set the position of my player at exactly these coordinates. I think maybe I'm going to make him at 0 this time so that he'll be on at ground level rather than falling from the heavens. So we'll do set position, and then the argument will be A, B, C for that set position function. A set tile position is a little different than set position. Set tile position teleported my player to these 3 integer coordinates to the tile that is located at those coordinates. And a tile is the size of a block in Minecraft. So a block isn't just a tiny little speck, right? It's got cube-like dimensions. So this tile that has this dimensions, that's where my player was teleported. In set position, it's going to move my player to exactly those 3 coordinates, negative 25.50 and 110.3. Okay, so let's go up to run, and then we'll run our module and look in here in the middle at where we ended. So notice our location is exactly what I specified, negative 25.5, 0.0, and 110.3. So we have to ask ourselves, what about this, right? We were first going to go to this location and then to that location. Well, it happened, but it happened so fast that we didn't even see it. So we're going to need some way to slow down how these lines of code are being executed so we can see what's happening on the screen. So to do that, we're going to go back up here to the top, and we're going to do another import. So this time we're going to import time. Okay? So we bring in time, and time includes a function called sleep. So time.sleep, and notice when I open the parentheses, it tells me the arguments that it's required is the number of seconds that I want the program to sleep, to pause, if you will, and stop executing commands. So I'm going to sleep, let's say, for 5 seconds. Okay. So let's go up and run. Save, and we'll watch. There we fall. Okay, that was my first one. And now there we teleported to our second location. Okay, so that time.sleep just lets me slow down the program execution so that we can have time to see what's happening. Since it all goes so fast. Now this import statement, we have some choices. If I don't want to have to use this dot operator, time.sleep, I could change this import statement to say from time import sleep. Right, now I'm importing just the function that I need from that time library. So now when I want to use the sleep function, I don't have to invoke that time.sleep. I can just do sleep and then the number of seconds. Okay, something that's useful when we're writing programs in Python is to be able to make comments inside of our code. So for example, I could come up here to this third line, and I'm going to put a hashtag, that number symbol, and that anything I type afterwards is going to be a comment that's just for my reference. The Python is not going to execute that statement. So I could say that this was used to connect to Minecraft. Okay? And notice it's red. That red indicates that it's a comment, right, not an executable statement. Okay, I could say here a note to myself that this was used to teleport player to an exact position. Okay, and that comment, again, is just for my information. Now, some things to know about variables. Okay, here we have an x, a y, and a z. Usually you want to be more descriptive in your variables, right? What's the difference between X, Y, Z, A, B, C? These are the positions. So I could say X position or X pause to be short, but notice that's more descriptive than just a plain X. Okay? When you connect your words, so let's say I called this X player position. When you connect your words in a variable with underscores, that's called snake case. Okay? Another thing you can do is called camel case. So we could say Y player position. In camel case, you start each new word in your variable name with a capital letter. Okay, some people prefer snake case. It's a little more readable. Some people prefer camel case. It's totally up to you how you want to set up your variable names. But you do want them to be as descriptive as possible so that other people who are reading your code can understand what these were used for. So if I call it X position, Y position, Z position, now somebody else reading my code is more likely to understand that the arguments that are being passed into this function, this set tile position function, are the positions where I want my player to land. Okay? Another thing to remember about names for variables is that names for variables must begin with a letter, lowercase letter, okay, or an underscore. They cannot begin with a number or a symbol like a dollar sign or a percent sign. Right? They have to begin with a lowercase letter or an underscore. Okay, another thing to remember about your variables is that they're automatically detecting the data type. So here an integer was stored in my X position. Here a float was stored in my X position. I can also assign strings to data types. So I could say name equals and then put my name there. And then I could print name. And now when I run, okay, my teleporting is happening in Minecraft. There's my first location. There's my second location. And notice over here in the shell, it output the print, which was my name that I saved as a variable in that string. Okay, now if you make mistakes in your program, so for example, let's comment out this first line where I import the sleep function. Okay, when we run this program, okay, the comment gets ignored. And now in my shell, I see an error that says sleep is not defined. Right? So that error is called a bug in programming, and fixing mistakes in code is a process called debugging. So to debug my program, I would have to remove the comment mark from my import statement so that it executes. Okay, if I were to start my variable with a number, so let's say that was 2x position. Let's see what happens now when we run. Okay, now I get an error that says invalid syntax. Remember we said you cannot begin a variable with a number. It has to begin with a letter or an underscore. Okay, so I would have to remove those values. Okay, let's look what happens if I had changed my variable name X position but forgot to change it in the arguments of my set tile position function. So now we'll run the module, and here's our error, name X is not defined. up above it, it tells me to look in line 10 of my code. So I could come over here to line 10 and see, oh, there's my problem. I have a variable as an argument that was not yet defined in my code. Okay, so we can fix that bug. Okay, another type of error that you can have is forgetting to do what you intended. So if I intended to print my name, okay, that was my intention, but all I did was save my name, right? When I would run, I'm not going to get an error that breaks my code. And over here, it's not going to tell me that there's a mistake that needs to be addressed, right? It looks like everything ran okay, but my program didn't do what I wanted it to. I intended it to print my name. So that's another type of error that you need to address when you're debugging, right? Is the program operating the way that you intended? Is it performing the task that you want it to perform?